In the last video, we created a coin flipping program and debugged it with print statements. We'll be using the same program in this video to see how we can debug it with an IDE. Taking a look at the code before, here we have our coin class. We have our heads and tails, final static int variables. We have our private int face up that says, what side of the coin is face up. Is it heads or is it tails? We have our constructor where we flip the coin for the first time. We have our flip method, which basically chooses a random number that's either 0 or 1. And then we have our get face up method here on line 19. And this basically gives a string output to the user so they don't have to deal with these ones and zeros. Going back to our main class, we created this coin C. It's an instance of our coin class, and then we printed out the initial face up of that coin. And then we went ahead and went into a for loop and flipped it 10 times. And after each flip, we saw what the face up value was. Is it heads, tails, or something invalid? Now we can actually walk through this program using something called breakpoints. Breakpoints allow you to intentionally pause a program during its execution to get more information. Let's try an example. Let's say I put a breakpoint where I flip the coin in the main method, and so here on line 10. Now, when I run this program in debug mode, we'll see that this program will stop on line 10, where that breakpoint is. And to run this program in debug mode, we click this critter up here, and it says debug main. We'll go ahead and click that, and then pulling up our debugger, we'll see that line stops right on line 10 and does not execute line 10 just yet. Here in this debugger tab, we can look at variables that are declared and see their value if they're initialized. We have the value of coin in our console, and we have access to face up, and we can see exactly what face up is. Then we can even go inside of c.flip, the method, by clicking this force step into button right here in red. And if we click that here in our debugger tab, we'll go into the flip method as it's executing. And here we're on this random rand equals new random line. And then we can go ahead and go to the next line by going step over. So we're going to step over that line and go to the next line of execution. Here, initially our face up is 0. But after this line 16 is executed, our face up might be a different number depending on if 0 or 1 is chosen from this next int method. If we step over this line again, we'll see that this in fact happens. And in this case, rand.nextInt bound to, this chose 1 as the random number. And so now face up is 1. And notice this is updated here in our variables in the debugger tab below. Continuing through the program, we can press this play button over here. And notice we hit that breakpoint again, and that's because we're in a for loop. So this breakpoint will be hit 10 times throughout the execution of this program unless we remove it. So we can decide to step into flip again. Here, face up is starting as 1, like we saw before. We'll step over this line, we'll step over this line, and now face up is 0 because of that random number generator. It could have been 0, it could have been 1, we don't know until after these lines have been executed. But we can keep track of them as well as what the program is doing here in this debugger pane. If we keep going through the program, pressing this play button over here, we hit this breakpoint again, and notice our I here is now set to 2, but we get the idea, and so we're going to go ahead and remove this breakpoint and then continue the rest of the program. And since there are no more breakpoints in the program will execute until its completion. And so if we go to our console here, we'll see in fact all of this happens as we saw it in the debugger console. Using breakpoints within an IDE is a great way to see what your program is doing and help locate errors so you can solve them. In the next video, you will get a challenge to solve, and if you get errors in your code, these tools, print statements, and breakpoints can help you figure them out.